Um, I'm I'm th- I'm interested in making video games right now. uh,
Okay.
because there's this guy that I've been following for a while now. His name is Jonathan Blow, and he's a game developer. Like he made a few very popular games, so he's kind of well known. And
Mm-hmm.
and for 5 years he's been working on this programming language for building games. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in to For him, it's to replace C++. plus plus.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, so this is the guy I've been following. And a few months ago, he did this talk on YouTube. It's that's called "Video Games and the Future of Education," and basically he's saying that um, like first of all, there's a whole bunch of stuff that like mainstream education gets it wrong, and he's right about that. Like um there's like the reward system, particularly in the educational system, is
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of problems with using a system of punishment and reward to try to get the student to learn. Um,
Okay.
Including like if you give children like stickers or give them points, test taking, like if you give them a good score versus a bad score, that's that's to them that's mostly like a punishment and reward kind of thing. And
Right.
you're asking them like if you do well, then they'll get this good score. If you don't,
Mm-hmm.
you get this bad score. So there's a lot of negative consequences that come from that. And the main one is that they will be much more concerned about sort of how well they're doing as perceived by others. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and which is like there's like it's the teachers but also your peers, right? Because like my kids actually talk to other kids about like they kind of know they talk, they kind of know what each other's scores are. and uh,
Right.
and when you're very aware of that and think about that a lot, that actually takes away from your performance in
Mm-hmm.
doing the actual work. You're it's like that worry that I talk about a lot. Like they're too worried about their scores to
Mm-hmm.
be 100% focused on doing the work, whatever work that might be. Um, so anyway, that's like a just like education, mainstream education has some problems, and that's a big one. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing about video games is like tons and tons of kids play video games now. Um, like so many that I heard. Do you know the game Among Us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you know about it because everybody knows about it. Um, I think like more than two-thirds of American kids play it. That's the statistics.
Okay.
That's a statistic that I've heard. So there's other games that are extremely popular, like Minecraft, Roblox. There's a few games that are extremely popular with kids, and if all these kids are playing it, like all of these games have these very complex universes within them, and all of these kids are very knowledgeable about these systems within these games.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so my thought was like, hey, like the kids are very good at learning by themselves. Like my kid did a
Mm-hmm.
presentation about Minecraft, and then he knows so much about Minecraft that if you get him to tell you everything he knows about Minecraft, like the content for the paper he had to write was very easy. It comes right out of him. He knows all the stuff. Like all I had to do is
Okay.
ask him, "Hey, what is interesting about Minecraft? What are the things you like to do about Minecraft?" Oh, you like to make weapons? How do you make weapons? Oh, and then he's like, all of this information is coming right out of him. So like he learns all of this stuff by himself,
Mm-hmm.
and there doesn't need to be a teacher sitting down with him telling him information. He like did this completely
Yeah.
on his own. Like he knows this stuff better than me and his mom, right? So yeah, so I was thinking, hey, maybe but anyway, this Jonathan Blow guy basically saying like we can use games as a way to teach people stuff. The only problem
Mm-hmm.
right now is, well, okay, I would argue that these games do teach some things that are useful, but
Mm-hmm.
but mostly, you know, it the problem is like how do you make the teaching more applicable to or how do you teach them skills that they actually use in the real world?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
You
yeah,
said educational kind of you're thinking about, not like just normal game in terms of like you
well,
and stuff.
okay, so yeah, so
Like
there's actually a lot of people.
something that people.
Yeah. Like, can we use video games in an educational way? And there are
Mm-hmm.
people already doing that. There's a lot of educational games being made and some of them being used, and there are some that are good even. But a lot of times, those games aren't done in the best way. In the uh, like a really good game is really fun to play and draws people in
Mm-hmm.
automatically. Like if you manage to build a really fun game, then it's like the people are playing the game for fun, right? Not like, and they don't need to be told, "Hey, you have to do this." They like they want to play the game. They voluntarily put in time into playing the game, and they're actually they choose to do it. I think that's a huge part of um motivation as well. Is when somebody does something they choose to do it versus you ask them to do it. And if they chose to do it,
Mm-hmm.
they are so much more into it. They're so much more focused on actually doing the things, right? Whatever the things are.
Mm-hmm.
But if you told them, hey, you play that educational game, which like is like there's this game called Spelling City that their school makes them play sometimes for their homework, right? Like for your homework, you have to play this game. Then um, it is not quite as good. It can still be good, but it's not quite as good, I think. Um, but anyway, um,
Maybe it's just well,
hmm?
maybe it's just because spelling itself is not fun enough. Like because the purpose is for you to learn to spell. So how can you make spell like just
Oh, how can you make spelling
a
fun?
normal word like fun?
There's a app called Wordscape. That have you heard of that app?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay.
No.
I think it's like go check it out. Like Wordscape is a good example of a game that's fun and it teaches you about spelling. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So basically, it comes down to like there's a lot of game design, like you need to be good at game design basically to do this stuff well, which is interesting. So anyway, that's something I've been thinking about. That's something I've been thinking about. I might
Yeah,
try.
that's a fun thing that I think I'm also interested in for sure.
Yeah,
Like
it's
like doing like that's like kind of fun and has a UI and then it can do things in general.
yeah.
Sounds like
Building
a fun
games.
idea.
Yeah, building games are fun. Building games are fun. Do you play a lot of games?
Mostly on the phone, like the small one. My favorite game is called Monument Valley. I don't know whether you heard about it.
No, Monument Valley. Okay.
Monument Valley. It's a phone game. I think it's super well executed. Um,
Okay.
like yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
I so I think like I'm kind of interested in exploring whether you could like use the format of a game to teach anything, or like if you can't do it with anything at all, then what is the range of things you can teach with the game's format? Um, is it
mhm.
possible? Like what is the realm of possibility? And um I feel like looking at some of the games and the ones that are well done, they really they really I like the ones that are, you they're setting up the levels so that it automatically teaches you the concepts that you like. A lot of these puzzle solving games,
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
they set up the levels to be like from easy to like gradually harder and harder, and they set it up carefully so that like it's an incremental accumulation of knowledge. Like this level you learn about this thing, and then they also get you to utilize the new concept in a few more levels to train you up, and then they introduce another thing. So it's very much like writing up lessons, um, when I was a teacher.
Mhm.
But they do it in a even more detailed way than I was doing, because when I write lessons, and if I don't do it in a perfectly smooth way, I because I didn't have time to do all of that, because I have to teach the
Mhm.
next day. Then I would in class
Right.
I would just try to make adjustments. I say, oh shoot, they didn't get that at all, and I would try to fill it in.
Mhm.
But with a game, they basically have to craft sort of every single level. Uh, you know, they have to order them in a very very smooth way. They
Mhm.
basically have to build this like the good ones anyway. They manage to build this perfect lesson plan in a sense that the entire trajectory of the course is very smooth, and is very incremental. And now it's still possible that it's still very possible that somebody will just get stuck at some place. Even the good
Mhm.
games, somebody will get stuck in some place, and they're gonna not continue. They're just gonna do something else, maybe play a different game or something. So that's always a problem, I think.
Plan to me is like if the student can use what they have learned to do like something that's like concrete, and then they get rewards because they do that thing for whatever reason. I feel like that's like really motivated. Um,
Yeah, I think kind
like
of. like my inclination, like Jonathan Blow's philosophy, and I agree with him on this point, is that like I prefer to downplay the reward, downplay the let's say downplay the additional reward, and like don't. I prefer to not give them extra things like, hey, here's like 50 coins for solving that puzzle, that kind of thing. Which most games do that. Most games give you some sort of points or coins, or some games are like I played this, or I watched this one game, watched somebody play this one game, and every time you solve the puzzle, there's a big yay, you know, because you're a kid, yay, and all these monsters are like throwing their arms up in the air at the same time and go yay. Um, I prefer to downplay those things, and because that is the part where the player is going you're gonna orient the player towards wanting those kinds of affirmations. Um, Whereas if you don't give those, um, then they will just enjoy just the being able to solve the problem in of itself. And
Yeah,
that
I think that makes sense.
because like you
Yeah.
can people definitely get a huge jolt of reward for themselves when they try really hard at something and finally manage to solve the problem. They get enormous satisfaction just from that. And if you in addition, if you
Yeah.
add this extra side thing that's like, oh, you just got 50 coins, and then but maybe the next one, like they really enjoyed solving that one, but you only give them 10 coins. Are they supposed to be less excited about that one, that they only got the 10 coins? So hmm.
Okay, so motivational.
Yeah, the audio, your voice is kind of lagging today. I don't.
Oh,
I, can you say can you say your last? What did you say? I missed it.
it's all about intrinsic motivation of solving problems itself.
Yeah. Trying to get them to motivate themselves intrinsically as much as possible, which um, unfortunately most games for kids are not that way.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I
it
tried to teach my nephew to code at one point, and I failed kind of because I can't get him to be interested. I mean, he likes math, but I still can't get him feel like, oh, I'm excited when I write this code. I feel like that's the problem. Like, how can I get him motivated?
mm,
Because he just doesn't see this as a thing
I
as
see.
of when
Okay,
I was trying to teach basically.
I think because I think about motivation so much, I'm very tuned into it. Number one is don't try to create motivation where there is none. So,
Okay.
so if they're not, if you ask them, hey, do you feel like learning to code with me? And he's like, nah, I don't know. He's like, no, you don't have to. It's just you know, don't put anything on them. It's best if they ask you for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It's actually and because like in a boot camp that's not possible because like we this is all the time we have. You gotta go. In a boot camp that's completely not possible. But with your situation with your nephew, no, you don't have to rush it. You just be patient and wait until he asks for it. And
Hmm.
um so that's number one, I think. And I don't try to I really try hard not to like when you're a parent, you usually try to think of the various good things that they could be doing, and then you ask them to do it. But I try very hard not to do that. I try very hard to just say, okay, and like if I don't want them to be playing video games, like I just say, okay, let's take a break from the screen. It's no screen time right now. But I try to not tell them what they should do instead, and let them choose. But yes, the way that they so Marty is very very curious. That's something we have that's really valuable because and Linus too, but Linus is less analytical, but he can be if he sees that his brother is doing it, then he'll get excited because his brother is doing it. So so I kind of I use that dynamic, and so Marty is like very interested in what I'm doing a lot of times. Like I make videos like this and put it on YouTube. They're actually very interested in that. At least at one point they were, like because YouTube is a big thing for kids nowadays. Like
That's true.
yeah, YouTube is like kids watch YouTube videos. They know about YouTubers and which YouTuber has how many subscribers and stuff like that. So but and then when I play chess, and then they watch me play chess, and then eventually they got interested in. So they watch me code, and then they'll ask for like especially Marty. He'll ask like, "Oh, can I do that?" So that's how it works with me and my children, and then if they do want to do it, then what you can do to motivate them to actually do the thing is to tailor it to their interest. So like if your nephew really likes math, then you do some math problem. I like the Marty wanted to do the geometry problem. Like I guess initially I showed him some how to do something like that in Python. That was just my example, and then he just latched onto it, and he was interested in that. But you can ask him like, what are you doing in math? What kind of problem do you like or something, and then you do that with him. Maybe that might
That's
help.
a good idea. Maybe I can show him like a command line program that can calculate like power of some number. He's interested in that, obviously.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
then
The kids like really really big numbers.
yeah.
Does he like how old is he?
Oh, he's not. He's third grade, I think.
Oh, okay.
Third grade.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he probably will like really really large numbers. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so Python 3 actually has this big number feature built in where if you do like a really large number, it will not blow up. It'll like you can do like 2 to the power of I don't know 10,000 or something. It will give you an actual answer. And so that might help. That might like,
Okay.
like you can do this power of crazy numbers, and then it'll actually the numbers will actually show up. Whereas in most languages that would not work at all.
That's cool. Yeah, maybe I'll try it.
Yeah, uh, yeah.